Programming on 90.7 WKGC and the Commodore Sports Network is sponsored by Sweet Bay. Sweet Bay is a bayfront village in Panama City that features parks, walking trails to the water, a future town center, and more. A community connected at the water's edge, Sweet Bay. More information about Sweet Bay online at sweetbayfl.com or 844-35-SWEET.
This is Coach's Corner.
Welcome, Commodore fans, to Coach's Corner, a production of Gulf Coast State College's digital media program here at the college. I want to thank Sweet Bay for underwriting Coach's Corner. I'm going to talk to Coach Scoville about Lady Commodores and the games they played last week and their future coming up. 20-4 overall, 8-3 in the Panhandle Conference, which is probably the most important thing on this page. Ranked number 2 in the state coaches poll, ranked number 7 in the NJCA national poll. But before we'll do this a little different. 8-3 means you made it to the state tournament, Coach. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm excited for our kids and to be able to return to Ocala and be a part of the region tournament, and which is part of the national tournament. Is pretty amazing for the way this whole year began. So
with all the opportunities, as Herman would call them, or distractions and things, and just nothing's been normal about it, but for the ladies to achieve what they have achieved and great coaching to get us back to that state tournament. A lot of Lady Commodore fans take that for granted. We're going to get there every time, and the Panhandle Conference is just so tough, and we're going to have very good teams that won't be there. Right. Well, I think that obviously it's definitely an overachievement for, with the way things got starting on September the 7th, and then followed up with, October the 10th, and then coming back. And we've pushed so many emotional buttons and even physical buttons and adaptability buttons and flexibility buttons. And I guess the one thing, you can just go back to recently with a lot of K-Yow games, and the legendary coach from NC State said, if life's going to kick you, then kick it forward. And I would say that our team, our athletic department, the campus, the community, I think a lot of people have kind of embraced that in some form or fashion, that they're going to rebuild and they're going to stick with it, and we're going to I think we've been kicked. Life has definitely kicked us, and I think that everybody's done a great job of kicking it forward, and thankfully these young ladies are going to get to be rewarded for continuously trying to kick forward. And if you have the fans, they drive past the campus, and if you look at the campus from 23rd Street or 98, it doesn't look that bad. But when you get inside the campus, they're putting roofs on buildings as you're trying to practice or trying to keep water out of the halls, and and there's just, every day we look at so much destruction. Going to Pensacola Saturday was a nice distraction because there was no destruction anywhere. No, you go in and everything kind of works normal, and that's what we have to realize, is this is not our normal. We don't want to accept this new normal, and we want it to get better, and we're going to rebuild, and we're going to figure it out. But in the meantime, we have games to play, and we have young ladies that need to develop their games, because we are the development league to get them ready for a 4-year scholarship. So they've worked hard, and I'm proud of what they have fought. They've kind of embraced this. Whatever we kind of tell them needs to happen, they just kind of live it and they do it. And at the end of the day, I'm probably more so than any time in my career, I'm just excited that something good got to happen to them, because we've been kicked so many times. You get kicked enough, you have a hard time getting back up, and they've continued to get up. So thankfully, something good's going to happen to them, and they get to be rewarded by getting to play some more, because the more that you can play, what people don't understand is the more you can play, the more you can advance, the more opportunities that some of these young ladies will have to earn 4-year degrees. So it is important, because we're talking about people's lives, we're talking about their futures, we're talking about their education, we're talking about their careers. So for us to advance, it means they get to play some more basketball and get to see. We've had girls that didn't get scholarship offers until they got to the national tournament, and they played well enough at that point. So sometimes that's the motivation, and I'm just thankful that we get to advance and go to Ocala. Well, because when all these young ladies signed, there was no Hurricane Michael, and everything was normal, and nobody knew this. And from the coaches and the players and the fans and the administration, everybody, like you said, is pulled together, and we're going to go to Ocala again. Yeah. But let's go back and talk. On February 13th, we played Northwest Florida, defeated them for 2 of the 3 times. That's quite an accomplishment.
That was a real solid game. We got off to a great start. Even the Northwest coaches were like, man, you guys were hitting from everywhere. We didn't really know where to double team or where to stop. So we started that first quarter with a lot of weapons and outside, inside, transition, and played solid defense. You know, we held the team to that was number 1 in the country and held them to 23 points in the first half and 49 for the game. Tremendous defensive effort and solid offensively.
And so, like you said, at the end of the first quarter, it's 22-12. You know, so that, and then they come back in the second quarter and only scored 11 points for a team that puts up a lot of points.
Right.
Lady Commodores played great defense.
Yeah, we really did, and they struggled. They weren't their normal selves. They didn't play their normal game, and hopefully we had a little something to do with that. But, you know, we were fortunate, went into the halftime with a big lead, and then, you know, we hung on to it in the second half and continued to play well. So that was just you know, it's turned out to be a tremendous victory, and like you say, kind of helped us secure that spot to the state tournament.
So if we look at those, you know, they only had 2 players in double figures. Yeah. And as well as they shoot the ball from the perimeter.
Yeah.
You know, they were 19% from three-point line. That credits your defense because they had to shoot over fingertips or something, or had to make a move, or couldn't just spot up, and so they were way off from there. And a lot of that's caused by defensive pressure.
Yeah, sometimes you know, it's just not your night, and sometimes the other team makes you uncomfortable. So, you know, of course, we want to be positive to say that maybe we had a little something to do with it, but probably a little bit of both. You know, they just weren't on their normal game, and we played maybe a little bit above our normal game. But at the end of the day, it was a sweet victory, a big victory, an important victory, and that set things up for the you know, the Saturday showdown of us in Pensacola.
Well, let's talk a little bit. Alexis Dye with a double-double, 20 and 11 against Northwest. Kinsey, 12 points. She's getting better and better every game.
She's improving. There's some people that's really starting to step up, and you know, we keep talking about playing your role, and if you'll just play your role, we're going to be able to compete with anybody. But it's important that we each understand our role and do it the best we can. And I thought that particular night, everybody did give their best, and if we can get more of that, then maybe we'll have some more success as we move on.
Yeah, because we'll look at Brittany Davis with a double. Bondu in that starting lineup, every game is improving.
Yeah, she's getting better offensively. She's doing a little bit better. Got to get more comfortable defensively. You know, it's a work in progress. But again, I just think that everybody, probably the big pieces, has been the play of Nadia Marshall, because she comes into so many different positions, and she really has been a tremendous spark off the bench in helping us on the boards defensively. We keep saying Nadia's really doing well. By this time next year, she's really going to be a tremendous basketball player.
And so comes off, brings that energy you talked about, has a nose for the basketball, kind of knows where it's going to come off at, plays a lot bigger than she really is.
Yeah, she had to play the post in high school, so she's kind of, she's got to fix some things for next year so that she can get some opportunities to be a perimeter player, because that's her size at the next level. So we have a lot of work to do between now and next spring, but she has worked probably more consistently than anybody on the team, and you're starting to see the you know, the benefits of her hard work.
Because when she comes off the bench, she does bring that energy.
Oh, absolutely.
You see them pull together.
Absolutely.
Nice things to see at this time of the season, players getting better and bringing energy and buying in, and, you know, they're starting to understand. Plus, you know, they played through this Panhandle Conference and have survived, so they have to get better to keep surviving.
Yeah, you have to. The Panhandle grind is unbelievable. You know, when you look at Pensacola and how talented they are, to say that they've gone over the conference is almost unbelievable, because they could go into any other region and maybe be the top dog. So the Panhandle Conference this year was such a grind, and you know, I think the sad part about it is, though, is you win a huge game and you really just can't get too excited about it. Because you know the work is going to be tougher the next time. So that's probably been the one thing that's been a little bit disappointing, is you just don't get to enjoy the moment because it's just been so tough, and you're trying to get enough wins to advance. So now we have, but now they're still dangling that carrot to either finish first or, you know, where you sit to win the conference. So, you know, we'll see, but we're just very fortunate.
And then Saturday night with Pensacola, Herman loves that trip because it's a long road trip. And we had a delay in there with their award
I
ceremony
know.
and all that. But Lady Commodores won again on the road, 70-49. That was the one that clinched us to get into the state tournament. So another good night for the Lady Commodores.
Yeah, I thought we played well. We shot the ball well, and again, Nakia Kinsey attacked and pushed the running. The running game looked pretty good Saturday night. Didn't convert as much, but our energy to push the ball up before was very, very good. So if we can continue to prove of converting once we get in transition, that's going to help us as we move forward. But it was a great game. We understood before that game. We sat down and talked about, a possible 3-way tie. A 4-way tie was even a possibility at that point. So we just knew that we didn't want to play anymore. And we were just hoping that Northwest could do their part too, and they did, and we did. So, we're both going to the state tournament.
There, and we kept getting updates on that game because it's still keyed on both of us winning.
Absolutely.
Do that. So, and Lady Commodores victorious, a good night for them. Now we're off Wednesday, and then we have a huge game coming up Saturday here against Chipola.
Yeah.
And then Northwest is playing Tallahassee Wednesday. So you're talking about what's still in the air. What's still in the air? Who is first and who's second, or who's the panel conference champion and who's the runner-up? And let's talk a little bit about what ramifications that has.
Well, we're both in the state tournament, so that's huge, and so it's not a do or die type game, but probably for ranking and for for me just pride and competitiveness to say we want to win it all. I'm not into sharing. Probably wasn't ever very good at that. I was the baby of the family, so I probably wasn't ever very good at sharing. So we tease about that is we don't want to share. So. We hope we can win this thing outright and get to the state tournament as the Panhandle champions and hang another banner if that's possible. And so we're going to go do our part. And, this time now we're hoping Tallahassee can help us. So anyway, you just want to be in control of your destiny. And I hope for our girls, the biggest thing that I hope for, win or lose, is that nobody gets hurt. That's more important than the win or the loss.
Yep, because we got to move on.
Right.
We're moving on. And,
right.
Northwest Florida is wanting to win.
Absolutely.
Coach is wanting to win. Those teams that are not in that state tournament, only chances they've got to get in an at-large is to win.
They need to win. Oh, yeah. They're coming to win.
So in other words, this is not, okay, we're out of it, we're done.
Absolutely not.
So there's not for the game Wednesday night Northwest will have against Tallahassee, nor for us with Chipola here Saturday in that thing. We talked a little bit about looking at that state tournament bracket, and that number 2 seed may have an easier route, but being number 2, if you're a coach, that's like kissing your sister.
Well, yeah.
You want to hang that banner, you want to win. On the other hand, how do you want to get there? And
yeah, I definitely just don't want to get hurt. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Don't want to get hurt, and want to celebrate these kids a little bit. It'll be sophomore day, and Keyshawn Johnson's family will be joining us for that game. So that's going to be, we started the season with kind of mourning her loss, and hopefully we can complete the season by having them join us and kind of celebrate her life and us finish the mission that we were on. Once we lost her, the mission was to win, and the mission was for all those young ladies to complete the thing that she couldn't do. So Saturday's going to be, an emotional game, but yet an important one for us.
It's an important one, I lost a player during the season, and there's some emotions that go along with that piece of it.
Absolutely.
So, but his family continued to support and do things, so that's great to see they'll be here and be part of this, and that the ladies have accomplished what they've accomplished.
Yes.
Is a tremendous testimony to the coaching staff, to the players, and everybody that for another season that we sometimes take for granted.
Absolutely.
So for Coach Cole, I'm James Baxley. I'll be back in just a moment to talk to Coach Powell about how the Commodores did and what's coming up for them on the Commodore Sports Network.
Programming on 90.7 WKGC and the Commodore Sports Network is sponsored by Sweet Bay. Sweet Bay is a bayfront village in Panama City that features parks, walking trails to the water, a future town center, and more. A community connected at the water's edge, Sweet Bay. More information about Sweet Bay online at sweetbayfl.com or 844-35-SWEET.
Welcome back, Commodore fans. Coach Jay Powell and I'll talk about the Commodores, 2 games they played last week. What's coming up this week? Commodores 14-14 overall, 2-9 in the Panhandle Conference. You know, not a chance this year to play in a state tournament, but a very, very young team that's getting better and better as the season goes on, and a lot of minutes are going into them. Those young men now, next year, will go, Coach, we played in the Panhandle Conference. We understand what you were talking about. You know, a few months ago when you said, hey, when the Panhandle Conference is coming, they really didn't have a clue.
That's very true. And they are, like you said, they are improving, and we've taken time in practice to compliment them on that, and we still have a game to play, but things like transition defense, things like rebounding and taking care of the basketball, those things have greatly improved over the 11 conference games that we've played. And so proud of that, you know, because you always look for growth in players and growth in your team. And so to see those and being able to recognize those things, that's definitely been a positive. But you're right, you know, Daniel Kiley was the only guy we had that coming into the season that could kind of tell the guys who and what it was going to be like in conference play, and so that created some challenges.
And so due to an injury, not able to play.
Right.
And so, and then you had one sophomore, but he really transferred in, so he really wasn't a true sophomore that came through our program. He got here a little different, but he's having to learn. So every player you had on the team never played in the Panhandle Conference.
That's true. But Reggie, and I think we'll hear from him a little later in the show, he has been great. To have not had the experience in Panhandle Conference play, he has been a true team captain in a lot of ways this year. So I'm very appreciative as his head coach, and very proud of Reggie Rivera and what he's accomplished on the court, but also just behind the scenes. He's done some great things.
So we'll go back to February 13th, played Northwest Florida State. A very good team, clinched the Panhandle Conference Championship already. You know, was doing a great job in the conference. We came up short 91-67. You know, the first half they got off to a great start. Second half we come back and won it, 41-38. So that's that part of talking about players getting a little better. It would have been easy for them guys to have packed it in and said we're done, but they didn't. They kept fighting and scrapping and getting better.
I agree, and that's kind of atypical behavior for young people these days. That sounds pretty judgmental towards a generation, I guess, but to have a group of guys that went into the locker room at halftime down and getting beat up on a little bit, and to come back and to continue to fight, and Maurice Gordon played very well in the second half, and so did KK Godwin, and other guys did too. But those two guys really, I thought, bucked up and really competed in the second half to allow us to find some momentum and have some success, because the guys' careers aren't over, the season wasn't over, and so we had to keep building and we had to keep working, and like you kind of alluded to, I think the second half allowed us to build and gain some confidence and do some good things going into our next game, which proved to be beneficial for us.
So if we look at that game, you know, Godwin with 16, Gordon with 18, Owens with 11, Holden with 12, you know, all solid scoring for those young men.
Yes, they've been 4 pretty good freshmen overall.
And then if we go back and look at Northwest Florida, you know, 8 of 18, they weren't great from the free throw line, but 11 of 22, 50% of every 3 they put up went in. That's pretty good shooting from the perimeter.
It was, and they have several guys that are pretty good at putting it on the deck, and so it's sometimes a pick your poison type thing in basketball, but they're playing at a very high level and doing a good job, and hats off to them for winning our conference. I guess this is the 4th year in a row, maybe 5th, that Northwest Florida State's won the Panhandle Conference. So congratulations to them on another successful season.
And if we look at it from the floor, they were 62.1%. So you shoot that well, you're going to win some ball games.
That's right.
And so that's how it was. And then Saturday night, went over to Pensacola State College and normally would play at 7:30, but they had an awards ceremony and delayed it probably 45 minutes or so.
Easy to say that, maybe an hour.
Maybe an hour. So it was after 8 o'clock before we started. You know, and you get your men over, you get dressed, you go through your pregame, and now you're waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And so, but on the other hand, Commodores won 71-59. Pensacola won the first half by 32-31. And the Commodores come back and scored 40-27 in the second half. So that second half, you know, here again, you see that improvement in getting better and better.
And that's something that early in conference season was going just the opposite.
Yeah.
We were playing better in the first half and then maybe run out of some gas, I guess you might say. And now that has gotten better for us. And so that's a compliment to our guys. Defensively on Saturday night, you know, I kind of wish it could be reversed so our home fans could have seen us at our defensive best, or at least close to our best, because I didn't think defensively we ran Northwest Florida State off the line as well as off the three-point line as well as we should have. But all around on penetration, on contesting threes, on rebounding the basketball to limit second chance opportunities. We defended ball screens so much better than we did previously. I was just very pleased to hold a Panhandle Conference team to 59 points. As you mentioned, we lost the first half by 1. They made a 3 at the buzzer. They ran a nice little play, and we got a little confused on if we were switching or downing, icing a ball screen, and they popped open for a 3 and knocked it down to go up 1. But the guys stayed pretty calm at the half, came back out and just competed and competed. And the biggest thing, though, is that in the second half of Northwest Florida, then in the 2 games we've beaten Pensacola, the biggest thing that the guys have done well is that they've made shots. Shooting percentages, especially three-point percentages, have not been where we would like for them to be. That makes it very difficult to win, no matter how hard you're playing defensively, because missed shots oftentimes, especially with long rebounds, lead to transition opportunities for the other team. And so the guys stepped up, made some shots, and got some buckets for us, and allowed us to play good half-court defense, and then, of course, got the points on the board so that we could separate and win.
And in that case, you talk about 11 of 23, 47.8% from the three-point line, and then 49.1% from the floor. You know, because Pensacola sat in that 3-2 zone for a while, and you had to shoot them out of it.
They did. They started the season like they ended last season, playing almost all 1-3-1, or you might call it a 1-1-3. But the way that they brought the middleman up, I kind of attacked it like a 1-3-1. They did that early, and then after the loss to us, they kind of changed to a 1-2-2 and played some 2-3 zone. And so, you know, we put in some sets to try to attack and get the ball inside a little bit. We did that in the first half, and we really weren't successful actually converting inside, even though we got it in there a few times for good looks. And then in the second half, especially though, we made some perimeter shots. Then all of a sudden, the driving lanes open up, and you know how it goes from there. Then all of a sudden, you get it down low, and guys are able to finish, and it makes for a better offensive showing.
Yep, and you know that they changed their defense up, and you know you pinch those guards on that one side, and then ball reversal, and somebody's wide open, and you know we ran 1-1-3 a lot at Arnold because that's.
I'm sure it's very successful. I'm sure it's very successful for you for multiple reasons. I'm sure that it had good basis and fundamentals to it, and I'm sure that other teams and coaches had not attacked it a whole lot. So it was probably very good for you.
And then if he did get inside, I had a 6'11" man there to defend. So
he was pretty good.
So let's talk quickly about the conference standings right now. Northwest Florida State College 10-1, Chipola 7-3, Tallahassee 5-5, Pensacola State 2-8, Gulf State 2-9. It's still up in the air for that second place team right now a little bit.
A little bit. Chipola knocking off Northwest Florida. They're close to you know getting that done. They have Pensacola at home Wednesday, and so if they win Wednesday, then I think that for sure locks it up no matter what.
And then Northwest is at Tallahassee. So don't see, well, that game really is a non-factor, because they're in.
Yeah.
On the women's side, it's a factor.
Yeah, it's
but on the
pretty
men's
exciting.
side, it's not. So we're going to have a special treat for you, Commodore fans. We're going to have one of Coach Jay Powell's players in just a moment and talk about how he got it here to Gulf Coast State College on the Commodore Sports Network.
Programming on 90.7 WKGC and the Commodore Sports Network is sponsored by Sweet Bay. Sweet Bay is a bayfront village in Panama City that features parks, walking trails to the water, a future town center, and more. A community connected at the water's edge, Sweet Bay. More information about Sweet Bay online at sweetbayfl.com or 844-35-SWEET. Welcome
back, Commodore fans. I have a treat for you today. I have one of Coach Powell's players here, Reggie Rivera. The only sophomore we have playing on the team, but not truly a normal sophomore. So you want to explain to the Commodore fans how you got here?
Yes, sir. Well, I came out of high school and I played at Ave Maria, and I really only played about 6 games my freshman year. And after that, I had to go back home due to family issues. My mom was kind of sick. Took a year off of college, took care of my mom, got some jobs. And then I went to go ahead and play in Scott Golden's showcase. That's where Coach Powell initially seen me play, and I talked to Scott Golden about, going to a college and which one would be the best choice, and him and Coach Powell are pretty close friends. So Scott Golden told me this would be my best offer to come here and play in the Panhandle Conference elite competition. So I went ahead, got in contact with Coach Powell. Coach Powell got in contact with me, and we went from there. Came over here, I want to say probably late January, and practiced with the team for the most part. And then from there, I just kept working, and then here I am, sophomore year.
Sophomore year. So let's talk a little bit about playing in the Panhandle Conference.
Yes, sir.
You talked about elite competition, probably one of the best conferences in the country.
Definitely.
So,
Yep.
So as your game improved, these games, now we have played 11 Panhandle Conference games. Are you a better player now than you were 11 games ago?
I feel like I am, yes, sir. Especially seeing all these guys playing high level. They all go in Division I. All these guys, Division I players. So you really see how you match up against them, and definitely toughness. You learn that the game's fast. The game's not a slow game no more. It's way different from high school, and it's way different from my last college. It's really quick, real fast. You gotta make movements and a split decision. So it's it's tough, but I enjoy the competition.
And so and like you said, it is a tougher conference to play in. Probably, I would say, one of the best in the country. I'm kind of partial. This is a great place to be at. So we're glad you're here, and I've enjoyed you doing play-by-play for the men's game, watching you play this year. So
thank you.
I got one game left. We got a big game Saturday
against
Chipola.
Yes, sir.
What do you think?
I think we need to knock them off. I think it would be a big win if we knock them off. Right, we're not doing too good in conference, but a win is a win, especially against Chipola.
So couldn't said it better myself. For Reggie Rivera, I'm James Baxley. Thanks for watching, Commodore fans, and we'll see you next time on the Commodore Sports Network.